Hey everybody, welcome to Birminology on LettermenRow.com. I am Jeremy Birmingham. We are in Greenwood, Indiana, the home of Center Grove High School, the home of, I believe, the nation's highest ranked long snapper,
Yes.
Caden Curry, who is, as we've talked about on a number of different Lettermen Row platforms before, one of the Buckeyes' top priorities in the class of 2022, and a player that he was just featured on the list on Lettermen Row on Friday. So for Caden, thanks for taking time, man. I know that the recruiting process has been arduous. It has been a let's call it what it is. Does it feel like it's sort of been a waste of time so far because you're just kind of stuck in neutral?
I mean, yeah, definitely. It's been really hard. I mean, can't go anywhere, can't see anything. And so it's kind of been just repetitive. It's been the same thing over and over, but I'm hoping to get out there soon.
So you are here at Center Grove. You just won a state championship. You are actually ranked as the number 7 or something defensive tackle in the country. The college football playoff was a Caden Curry playoff. It was Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, which even though you haven't released an official top whatever, those 4 schools are going to be in whatever top whatever you release. Mm-hmm. How hard has it been, Caden, to start really building what you feel are true relationships in this process? Because clearly you could talk to anybody on Zoom and feel like, hey, this guy's cool, but he could be texting someone else right down here, right?
I mean, definitely it's been really nice to meet new people and find new relationships with other people and learn new things. I mean, it's definitely been a blessing to meet all these coaches, but I mean, yeah, just meeting new people and finding new friends has definitely been fun.
I don't want to make grandiose leaps of assumption or whatever, but I want to talk about 5 specific schools that you're interested in. Obviously, Lettermen Row, we cover Ohio State, so we'll start there. How has last time you were on my show was in the first week of September, so yeah, right after the communication period opened up. Things were just starting to pick up with other schools, but Ohio State's been there all along. How has it improved since then? And if so, why?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always been top of my list. They've always been there for me, and they always just help me. And, I mean, they've definitely made it a lot easier in the recruiting process. They make it a lot easier to find things out about the school, and it's definitely been nice.
Is there something unique about their coaching staff and either the way that they approach you, the message that they have for you, the way they intend to use you? I mean, what is it that makes a school that you've never been to stay so at the top of your list for so long?
I mean, they kind of just help me out. They tell me where I want to play, and they tell me how I'd play it, and then just seeing that, and then just the coach is being laid back and not being all up on me and just texting me like whenever they want me to be free, and then just been whenever I want. It's all on my time.
Another school that's been mentioned a lot with you is Clemson. They had just offered back when we talked the last time on this show. How has the relationship with Todd Bates and the Clemson staff, Brent Venables, how has that grown since then? And what is it about their style of defense that catches your attention?
I mean, they definitely play fast on defense. I mean, I love seeing them play, but then just meeting the coaches, I mean, I've gotten to know a lot of them now. I've known all of them, and just getting on Zooms with them, I've talked to them more, and it's been better to get to know them more. And just seeing their facilities and all their academics, it's been nice to look at all of it.
The national champion Alabama Crimson Tide is another team that is very much involved in your recruitment. Again, you haven't been there. They basically changed their entire defensive staff and entire coaching staff a week ago or whatever, 2 weeks ago, except for Nick Saban. But when you're talking about Alabama, it's kind of Nick Saban that matters, I think, more than anything. How has he been able to bridge the gap with this coaching transition and this staff transition to make sure that the new staff understands that you're still a priority?
I mean, I definitely think he made it clear to those coaches that I'm pretty high up there because they all reached out to me early and they all kind of talked to me and they all kind of introduced themselves, and it was kind of nice meeting all of them, and he took it pretty nice and he made it really easy for it to meet him.
The local school, I guess we can say that times 2. The local school number 1 is Notre Dame. Yeah. The Irish have been involved. They lost their defensive coordinator. Clark Lee goes to Vanderbilt, takes over the head coaching spot there. Marcus Freeman, who Buckeyes fans are very familiar with, he played at Ohio State and was a former Buckeye captain, is now the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. And if I'm incorrect, tell me I'm dumb. But I think that it seemed like Notre Dame became more interested in you when Marcus Freeman took over.
Definitely.
Why?
I don't know. I've talked to Coach Freeman a bunch, and he definitely said he liked my style probably more than the other coaches. But, I mean, he definitely sees more in me than the other guys did, and he likes it. So, I mean, it's nice talking to him.
Is there a specific role change that maybe he sees differently than Clark Lee did?
Clark Lee saw me playing nose guard, and then he sees me playing outside.
Okay. Do you have a preference? I mean, we've talked about this before. You're listed as a defensive tackle, but you're 6'4.5", 255, 260 pounds. So it's not like you're a traditional 3 tech at this point. You could be a Nick Bosa-esque type defensive end at 6'4", 260, who plays some nose. But do you have a preference?
I mean, I definitely see my game is mostly about my speed, and I play strong and fast. So, I mean, I definitely like to see myself on the edge, but, I mean, I can play the inside, too. I like all the positions.
The fifth school I want to talk about is Indiana. That's, down the road. The Hoosiers I don't think people have really ever given them a true fighting chance in your recruitment, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading the wrong things or hearing the wrong things, but they're in there, right? I mean, what makes Tom Allen's program one that is intriguing to you especially as a kid from Indiana?
I mean, the last 3 years, Coach Allen's definitely done a great job with this program, and he's definitely made it closer, and it's really tight. I feel like when I went down there to visit, it was actually one of my only 2 visits.
Yeah.
I got down there and to watch the game, and they definitely were all close as a team. They're all close together, and it felt like they definitely loved each other.
Is that, when you talk about like those bonds that you form on a team, one of the real problems with the dead period continuing the way it is that you guys haven't had a chance to get around the country and be around other dudes, right?
Definitely.
So we know that there's group text messages and Snapchats and DMs and all that, but that's not the same thing as real, like, hey, how do we vibe in person? Is there a guy or two in this class, not necessarily for Ohio State, but anywhere, who are the kids around the country that you're like, yo, that is the guy I really feel a bond with?
I mean, I talked to Taven. He's at my school. I mean, me and him have been close since kindergarten probably, and I mean, we've always played together. But I also talked to Dasan. Me and him talk a lot. We've got a good connection, and I mean, honestly, those two have talked a lot.
So Dasan McCullough, who's now at Bloomington South High School, originally he was in Kansas. His dad took a job with the Indiana Hoosiers. Dasan and his brother moved to Bloomington. And that had to have been a weird couple days, right? Because for a moment, after the last 6 months of him trying to recruit you, there was a moment when you were trying to recruit Dasan, right?
Oh, yeah. I definitely tried to get him to come here.
I mean, how different is your defense if you have Dasan McCullough?
I mean, definitely takes a big step in our secondary. I mean, we definitely probably will be weak on our secondary this year. If we had him, it would definitely make a big difference.
You've got to start thinking it, and you hate to even suggest it, but the way things are going with the dead period, it's supposed to end May 31st, but it was supposed to end 4 or 5 other times previous. You are not a kid that is going to jump and make a decision without visiting schools, right?
Definitely.
Everyone pretty much understands that. But what if you can't visit anywhere ever? What happens if that dead period goes to August and then September and then December? How do you find it possible to make a decision?
I mean, me and my parents talked about it if that happened. I mean, we definitely just think we will just go out and we'll drive around the campuses and see which ones we like, and then definitely try to find as much information as possible.
Is there a plan to do that so some of the local schools, like in the spring, just to get a feel for the cities and the campuses, even though you can't talk to coaches while you're there?
I mean, I'm definitely going to try to go to – I mean, I tried to talk to some coaches about if I could go to the spring game, even though I'm not a recruit at the spring game, I can still just go to it. I've talked to some coaches about doing that, and I mean, I'm hoping I'm getting to some – so I can get to some colleges to watch those.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting loophole there because obviously recruits are not allowed to be there on visits.
Yeah.
But if the schools are allowed to host fans for the spring game, then there certainly shouldn't be any reason you couldn't go be there. Which I guess, we'll find out how individual schools handle that. This is part of the entire problem with the NCAA right now is there is no grand oversight and there is no larger committee to say, okay, well, this is actually not possible because if you wanted to go see Notre Dame and Clemson play last year, you could have. You know what I mean? And that to me, maybe I'm just a baby, I don't know, but to me that seems wrong. It seems unfair that there are conferences where it's not allowed and conferences where there are, but I digress. For you, Caden, okay, so let's fast forward, right? Let's say today is December 18th or whatever day signing day is. You're getting ready to enroll early at school 2 weeks later. Where do you go? If you had to pick today, I'm putting you on the spot, pick today. Tomorrow is when you enroll. And I'm going to say this because this is what I think is happening. I think that there are kids like you, and again, tell me if I'm an idiot, that have been to a couple places, and I think the interesting thing is whether or not where you've been automatically makes you more comfortable, or if because of the free transfer possibilities that are coming up, the one-time free transfer, that if it makes you guys more willing to take a chance. Which way do you think kids will go? We'll take you off the spot about your own personal choice, but which way do you think kids are more likely to go?
I mean, I definitely could see kids going either way. I could see kids wanting to stay close to home and just wanting to play for the city because they've had the COVID and they couldn't go anywhere to see anything, and this is the one they know is the one that they're close to. And but I could also see kids trying to go out and then try to achieve more than themselves and thinking they can go play bigger. So honestly, I think it can go either way.
Are you? This is going to sound like a weird question, and that's what I'm all about today, apparently. If to play at a place like Alabama or Ohio State or Clemson or Notre Dame and even Indiana to a degree, you have to be a very different type of kid, right? You have to be extremely confident in yourself, but you also have to be extremely willing to be a part of something bigger than you. Do you find in talking to kids around the country that there is a certain dynamic or a certain personality type that all of you sort of have?
I mean, we definitely all have confidence. I mean, whenever we step on the field, you can tell we all just know we're going to make the play and we're all just going to play to the very end and we're going to be better than everybody else in the field because we've just always thought about that. So we have the confidence of it. We don't brag about it. We just have the confidence.
Have you become a better golfer?
I mean, with this weather I haven't, but my friend has a simulator, so I'm getting pretty better.
I mean, when we talked last time, you had just picked up the sport and you said you broke a couple drivers, and so I figured I'd check in and see if, I didn't bring my clubs, but, it is a nice day. We could probably hit a couple wedges out here, but, anyway, there's a lot of time left. What do you see happening? I mean, is it a matter of, okay, dead period, let's say it does end in May. Do you feel confident that you'd be able to make a decision by the time your senior season starts?
I mean, definitely I have a pretty strong idea where I'm going to make my decision. So I think, I'd have a decision by then.
When are you cutting things down? I mean, again, we talked about 5 specific schools. There could be others on the list that I'm ignoring or that I'm unaware of, but that seems to be a solid starting point for you. Is there anything else, any other school that you're like, okay, this is one I really want to see?
I mean, I've kind of got the schools out where I'm like, obviously I don't see myself playing there. I've got those schools out of the way, and then I definitely I've kind of taken research. I have to look over to see if I could see myself playing there and then see if I would. I mean, I've talked to a coach, and the coach told me, he said, freshman year, you get to picture yourself your freshman year. If you snapped your ACL, would you still want to go there for the next 4 years? Yeah. And then, so I mean, I definitely took that into consideration. I've just looked at schools like that, see would I like it if I didn't play football here.
What's the vibe that you want? I mean, you're a stone's throw away from Indianapolis, right? You're a stone's throw away from Bloomington. It's 2 very different types of places. You have the city life, you have the college town life. Have you found that there's 1 or 2 things about each place that you like, or is it like, hey, I want to be in a city? What matters to you?
I'm pretty open. I mean, definitely just having that football vibe in the city and just playing for a lot of fans and just having fun, honestly.
Well, hopefully you get a chance to make those visits sometime this summer, because clearly it is going to be a much harder decision for you and for everyone else in your class if you don't. So thank you, Caden Curry, for taking time to visit with Bermanology. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This is Lettermen Row. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back next week with another guest.
Thank you.